Welcome to Scented Pages. Hello. Welcome and welcome back to my channel, baby. How are you? I hope everything and everyone is doing well and everything is going well. I have a book that I got into and I want to talk about it. But first, let's get into the scent. Still by Jennifer Lopez. I love it. It's good. I just recently got it. I recently did a pretty big haul of some of her scents, some of her things. I got oh my god. I got this one. I got Still by her. Let me see. I got Live Lux by her, which is sweet and I really like it. It smells really good. And I got Miami Glow, which is, I think, out of all of them, my favorite. And her regular glow. I like that one. This one smells good too. But, oh my God, this Still. This is beautiful. Let me get into some of these pages. Oh, so I don't want to make the ink melt or bleed, I should say. But, So, it's really clean smelling. That's what I like about it. It smells so clean and fresh. Not powdery. More so floral, flowers. Like, Let's get into these notes. Let me see what they say. So, it says, Jennifer Lopez's Still. Her main accords are white floral, green, fresh spicy, floral, citrus, fruity, powdery, and musky. So there is some powdery in there. But more than anything, I'm getting that floral, that white floral. So it says, Still by Jennifer Lopez is a floral fragrance for women. It was launched in 2003. It's a very feminine, vivacious, clean, and sensual scent. The opening is luminous and gentle due to the notes of white pepper and mandarin, Earl Grey tea, and sake note. The heart note is composed of freesia, rose, jasmine, orange blossom, and lily of the valley. Heart notes are like your middle notes. And then the base is warm and sensual with woody and musky notes. Sandalwood, musk, amber, orris, and pepper. I do smell that pepper in it. Whatever pepper smells like. But it does have a smell, and I can smell a peppery note. As light as it can be. This is very no, I would say, I was getting ready to say nighttime, but I would definitely say daytime. This is daytime light though. Light, summery, springtime scent. I love it. It's beautiful. So it's Still by Jennifer Lopez. It's not real expensive. I like it because it's, a bit of a cheapy on the inexpensive, like far as finances, as far as the money and the cost of it. It's not real pricey. So I like that too about it. So let's get into this book because, honey, it was juicy. 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 Drink a fruit punch out of my cute little, I got another one of those little vibe speaker cups, but I got it for cheaper on the actual website. There's a little story behind that as to why I'm kind of irritated about that, but I won't bore you with that. But yeah, I went on the Vibe website and got went on the clearance section and got another one of my cute little speaker cups. I got it for the spring, summertime. I got it in pink. Put the other one up for the fall and winter months. It's a deeper, like that dark red fall color. So yeah. Anyway, the book that I read was The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. So what it's about is this girl named Amber, and she sees this other lady, this other girl named Daphne. And she's a little bit older than her, and she notices that Daphne's life looks good. Like Daphne, she seems like she got it together. Um, her husband is nice and handsome, and she's rich. She's got all these jewels and nice clothes, and her life looks perfect. So Amber fixes it up in her little mind that she's gonna steal this lady's life. She's gonna snatch her husband. She's gonna take everything that she has and make it for herself. So Amber decides she befriends Daphne. And then there's Jackson. So Jackson is Daphne's husband. And so Jackson is who Amber has her eye on. So Amber commences to befriending Daphne and being the worst. Like the first half of the book, we see Amber's plan of being diabolical. Like she spins this web of lies and deceit of pretending to be Daphne's friend. So Daphne had a sister who had passed away when she was much younger. She died of some disease that she had. I don't remember what it was. So Daphne made it up that she had a sister that had the same disease and had also passed away. So that's how her and Daphne kind of came together and started bonding. Like she made sure to meet her one day, and I think it was at the gym. So whole time, during the first half of this book, we're seeing Amber slowly meshing her way into Daphne's life, and Daphne is straight up like serving her husband up and serving her life up to Amber on a silver platter. And I'm reading this shit like, honey, what is going on here? Like, it couldn't be me, because absolutely not. Like, she was doing stuff like, she told Amber to go with Jackson on one of his like little business dinners instead of her. She was like, oh, the girls are sick. One of them, they had two daughters. Jackson and Daphne had two daughters. She was like, one of the girls are sick. You go ahead on with him. I'll just stay back and watch her. You go with him in my place, and it'll be fine. Like, that's fine. And I don't have a problem with it. And Daphne was like, okay. And then there was this like little apartment. They had this little apartment in like New York, and it was easier for Amber to stay in this little apartment. And of course, who else shows up but Jackson? And Daphne just doesn't care that Amber and Jackson are in New York in this little cozy little apartment with, and her husband is in there, and, it's all fine and dandy. And I'm like, okay, girl, I guess. So, whole time, baby, Amber's ass is thinking that shit's sweet, but ain't shit sweet. Because about halfway through the book, the perspective changes and we get Daphne's side of the story and how disgusting her life really is with Jackson. He's the worst. He is the absolute worst. And this is the thing. I don't care if you're not physically hitting a person. It doesn't matter if you don't physically hit somebody. Mentally, if you are like mentally, emotionally, and psychologically abusing a person, that's abuse too. When you are playing mind games with somebody and trying to make them look loony and go loony, and that's not a good look. Like, sometimes fucking with people mentally is worse than messing with them physically. So that's worse than slapping them up. So anyway, for an example, Jackson and Daphne already had two daughters. So he was really bent on having a third kid. He wanted a son. He really wanted a son. So he was going to make Daphne keep getting an abortion. If it was another girl, he was going to make her have an abortion until he got the son that he wanted. So Daphne went and snuck and got an IUD so that she wouldn't get pregnant by him. He didn't know. She went and like not changed her name, but she used a different name and went to a hospital or a doctor out of town so that he couldn't keep track of her, because he was like keeping track of her ovulation and when she was come on her cycle and stuff. He was doing the most, and he was making it really difficult for her to live like her life safely. A mess. So she had her IUD so she wouldn't get pregnant by him, and he's wondering like, well, why won't you get pregnant, and like saying really mean things to her about not getting pregnant. And honey, she did not care. She was so happy to not have to deal with having another one of his children and him being the worst. Then he lied to their daughter. So they had 2 daughters, and the one girl, I forget their names, but the oldest girl, she was cool. But the younger girl, she kind of had like a little bit of like a learning disability, ADHD or something like that. And he was really hard on her. So like he made their life really bad too. But he told the youngest girl one day he had messed with Daphne's phone so that she would miss her notifications and not know, she would miss her appointments and stuff. She had missed picking them up one day. And so he lied and told the girls that it was because she had been drinking and, she was drunk and had been drinking again, and just lied about it. That made me more angry than him having her wrongfully admitted into the psych ward just because he felt like it and made up some stuff. She tried to get away from him, but he made the cops pull her over, and he lied and said that she was a danger to herself and to the baby, and had her locked up in the psych ward wrongfully for like a month. Oh my goodness. But that's not nearly as bad as lying and telling that kid that she was drinking and she really wasn't. That's the worst. Then another thing that he did, so he had to have everything like just so. Everything had to be perfect. He was real meticulously clean. Nothing could be out of place or anything like that. So he wanted, they had like little individual juice bottles in the refrigerator. And he wanted them in alphabetical order according to their flavor. So like, let's just say he would want the apple juice in front of the cranberry juice, and then, the pineapple juice or whatever came behind it. Well, this particular day, one of the juice bottles had gotten switched around, right? And when he asked Daphne about it, she bust out laughing. She was just laughing at the absurdity of the whole thing. The fact that he cared about it, the fact that he, that it mattered, that, it wasn't like the juice wasn't in the refrigerator or something. It just wasn't in alphabetical order. Well, she started laughing real hard, and she could not pull it together. And he opened up a bottle of juice and poured it on her head, and then threw every egg in the refrigerator at her. Listen. I choose violence. Okay? I choose violence. Because what you're not going to do is be in the house mentally and psychologically abusing people and think that it's not going to, let's get physical. I want to get physical. Think it's not going to get physical. Because you throwing eggs, and I'm going to throw the coffee pot. The whole coffee pot. Hot coffee, glass, everything. The whole contraption. I was so mad. Like, this book had me up at 8 o'clock in the morning reading it and choosing violence first thing in the morning. Because Jackson was the worst. Daphne's life was horrendous. And Amber thought she knew, honey, all that glitters ain't gold. All that glitters is not gold. So anyway, Daphne's dumbass, now she then got herself knocked up by Jackson. Because why not? Because of course. So she's knocked up. She's pregnant now. So of course Jackson leaves Daphne and wants to marry Amber because she's going to have the son that, of course, Daphne couldn't have. So Daphne was like, oh, God, thank God. Woo! I am out of there. I knew she was so relieved. She was so relieved to not have to be having another one of his spawns. It's like, no, the girls weren't spawns, but don't nobody want to keep having babies with the devil. So Amber got her little silly self knocked up, and everything happens, right? So it comes out that really Daphne was on to Amber long before Amber even had wind of anything. Daphne was on to Amber almost from the beginning, because what happened was Daphne hired herself a private investigator, and this private investigator went and found and dug up some mess on Amber. Read the book. I'm not going to give it away. But he went and found some mess on Amber, and so Daphne was like, well, yes, I'm going to use this to my advantage. So she divorces Jackson, and of course Amber and Jackson get married, and he's terrible. She hired a private investigator. So Daphne, the whole thing of it is, Daphne was on to Amber, so Daphne was really the one setting Amber up to be married to Jackson's terrible self. Amber thought that she was being smart and, spinning a web of lies and planning to take this lady's life, and Daphne was handing it over to her. Take him off my hands, because he's the worst. And I love it. I love how Amber's plan blew up in her face in the favor of Daphne. A lot of people was, saying how, like, the first half of the book, which was from Amber's perspective, was like slow or dragged on or whatever. And I didn't think so. I thought it was really good. I liked seeing her build her little empire. I liked seeing how, if we didn't get Amber's perspective first, we wouldn't have never been able to really appreciate Daphne's one-up on her. It wouldn't have gone well. I loved it. I thought it was very entertaining, very well written. I gave it a 5 stars. It was excellent. Let me see. I feel like I'm missing something. Okay, I said that really it was Daphne setting her. Oh, what I wanted to say was, okay, now, far as in a fictional story, Daphne setting Amber up to be the fall guy and to be the distraction that she needed to get away from Jackson, in a fictional made-up story, like, that's cool. But baby, in real life, if that was to really happen, look, I'm sure that it has happened. I'm sure that plenty of women have set women up to be the fall guy and to be with a guy that they know is horrendous. But that is gross. Like, I was looking at Daphne with a serious side eye, like, girl, you set this lady up to be great and abused and tortured, psychologically abused, to be abused. You set this up, as from one woman to another. Honey. Terrible. But it was so good. The book was excellent. I loved it. The twists and turns, the reveals, the ending, how everything wrapped up. There's a follow-up called The Next Mrs. Parrish, because Daphne set up everything so that she would just come out on top. I don't want to give the whole thing away, but the way that she set up Jackson and Amber to fall, chef's kiss. Read it. The Last Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine. And then there's a follow-up that I'm definitely going to read called The Next Mrs. Parrish. Well, but before I read The Next Mrs. Parrish, I'm going to read Frida McFadden's book called The Housemaid. People say, rumor has it, that book is very, very close in nature and in spirit to the last Mrs. Parrish. So I want to see, and I want to compare it and see, if that's really the case, or if it's a bit overblown. So that's it. Until next time. Oh, well, wait. No, let me see. So, a little bit of a reading update. I'm almost at achieving my reading goal for the year. I wanted to read 60 books this year, and I'm like at 55, 56. So what I'm thinking that I'm going to do is finish up my reading goal, get to my 60 books, since it's still pretty early in the year. I still have, the rest of August, September, October, November, and December. I wanted to dedicate those last few months to reading some chunkier books, like some thicker books. I really wanted to read it because I have some really cute earrings that I want to read with some of my thicker books. Wait, let me show you really quick. I got some really cute, like, book-themed earrings. Hold on. I'll just show you a couple of pair. Like, I got these cute It earrings. Stephen King It book. I want to read that book. And I got The Eye of the World. I have that book. I already have The Eye of the World. It's like a fantasy book. Vintage fantasy book. So I want to, especially this fall, I want to see what all the hubbub is about. So I was thinking to myself that I'm going to read Eye of the World, some of my thicker books, like maybe even this Game of Thrones and American Gods. They're chunky, they're big. So I'm going to see, which couple of them, few of them or whatever, I'm going to dedicate myself to out of it, Wheel of Time, these two, and I'll read them this fall, see, how far I can get into those books. So, also, I finished reading, what was the book? Let me put this back real quick. These Things Linger by, I think it's Dan Franklin. Let me see, I got it. Yeah, it's by Dan Franklin. That was good. That was good. I was surprised because, like I said, it had like that supernatural element. But, okay, again, I always think that, like, having to imagine monsters and stuff like that, it's kind of gets me. It's kind of a little bit, it doesn't, okay, I'll just say this. It's not scary. But the book and the story was very well written, very good. It's set here in Maryland, and I kind of went down a bit of a rabbit hole with it because in the book it mentioned how the Ouija board was invented here in Baltimore, and I didn't know that. And so I did a little bit of research on that. Creepy, but it was still good. It was fun to learn about. But I learned about all of that from that, through that book or whatever. I had no idea. So, oh my goodness. Yeah, so that book was really good. I'm not going to give a summary of it. I'll just say to go and read it. Again, that was like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I like that it focused a lot on acceptance of people. I like the ending of it because it wasn't a happy ending. Like, stuff didn't end well at all. And I like that. That was different. So that was fun. I read that book, These Things Linger. I also read a Sherry LaPena book, Everyone Here is Lying. That was good. And I also read one more. I read Sherry LaPena, These Things Linger, Liv Constantine, and one more book that I listened to. I can't remember what it was right now. Oh well. Okay, I'll end this up now. See you next time.